365 Sports.
Some Chiefs signings are incoming for the Kansas City Chiefs as they have hosted a multitude of tryouts that we're going to break down here today on the Chiefs Report, a part of 365 Sports. Happy you chose to take some time out of your day to join it here with us. I'm Jace Andrews, and a very exciting day here for the Chiefs. 13 tryouts, going to go through each and every player today on the podcast and kind of break down each player, how best fit they work with the Chiefs organization if I see them getting signed, and whether or not just looking at some cool football players for sure. Again, 13 tryouts. A lot of the times this means some signings are coming, and the Chiefs, they've done this a couple times this season, and every single time they've signed at least 2 guys. So fingers crossed they could get some cool ones in here, but we're going to get through them all today. Again, 13 different players were on the docket for the Kansas City Chiefs to have on tryouts. Now, I just want to preface by saying this. 13 tryouts, and they signed 2 tomorrow, whatever, does not mean the rest of these tryouts were for naught. The Chiefs are one of the many organizations, and really the main one, to be honest, who try out a bunch of different people as the season comes to a close to try and figure out who they want to have on their 90-man off-season roster. It's something that happens a lot where teams will start to have buckets of tryouts, and a lot of these guys maybe not getting signed right now, but can get a futures contract here in just a little bit after the season concludes. You can also say, hey, the Chiefs, we really like you. If you're available for the offseason, we're going to sign you. And obviously that's not, written in paper, but the Chiefs can kind of, give that quote unquote addendum to them saying, hey, we want to sign you. We're just not going to do it till we have 90 men on a roster, and you can kind of make your best fit from there. So we got a lot of guys to get to here on today's show. So let's go right into it here, starting with a wide receiver, Andrew Armstrong. Now here's the bio on him. He's 6'4", 202 pounds, and he was an undrafted man out of Arkansas in 2025. However, he put up some impressive numbers at the pre-draft workouts. He had a 4.51 40-yard dash, and for the Hogs in 2024, he had 78 catches for over 1,000 receiving yards, but he was unable to capitalize on his size, being, of course, 6'4", 202, and he only had 1 receiving touchdown. Now, he spent the 2025 NFL offseason with the Miami Dolphins. However, he failed to make their roster. He did get signed to a different team's practice squad, that being the Detroit Lions, before he was released. And I want to go look at his collegiate stats here. Again, Andrew Armstrong spent some time with Miami in the offseason with Detroit, was 1 week on their practice squad out of Dallas, Texas. He had 78 catches for over 1,000 yards with the Arkansas Razorbacks. With Texas A&M Commerce back in his rookie, or I should say freshman year of college, he had 62 receptions for over 1,000 yards with 13 touchdowns, which of course landed him a spot with an SEC caliber team in the Hogs, and then had just 5 touchdowns in 2023, 1 this past year, despite averaging 14.6 average yards per catch. Now, a couple of things to note with this. I do think that wide receiver is such an important thing to have during the offseason. So while I don't see them signing Andrew Armstrong out of this bunch in this signing period, I think he has a very likelihood of getting signed later on into the offseason for that 90-man roster. Has a lot of things he like. Again, very good wide receiver frame at 6'4", 202, but for whatever reason, could not get in the end zone with the Arkansas Razorbacks. That obviously is a concern for teams, and probably a lot of things that they work out is trying to figure out, hey, you got your size, but are you using it properly? And if you're not, can we help you? And can we make you into a guy that could be a real weapon for us? So we'll have to see. But Andrew Armstrong is the first guy that was tried out by the Kansas City Chiefs. The second guy on the docket, a defensive back, Isaiah Bolden. Now, this is an interesting one. Bolden was a 7th-round pick by the New England Patriots back in 2023 out of Jackson State. Now, he had a lot of interesting things happen throughout the early part of his career, had a scary injury in preseason week 2 where he had to be immobilized and taken off the field. He then was placed on season-ending injured reserve. The 6'2", 205 defensive back spent some time in 2024 with the Pats active roster. He did appear in 14 games, playing both on defense and on special teams, recording 10 total tackles. Also had a fumble recovery. Now, New England did release him ahead of roster cuts this season in 2025, and he recently spent some time with the San Francisco 49ers and their practice squad. Isaiah Bolden, again here, the defensive back out of Jackson State, a 7th-round pick, 14 games, as I mentioned, with the New England Patriots, 10 total tackles, 7 of those total, and a fumble recovery plus 1 stuff. I think that there is some good things about him. The one thing that I don't like slash I don't see him getting a contract in this. He's not exactly the most athletic defensive back. He has the size of a defensive back that you like. It's a very good kind of body weight for him to go out there and compete as a defensive back, being 6'2", 205. But he just doesn't have the athleticism that I think a lot of the cornerbacks the Chiefs already do have. And for some reason, or for some extent of the decision, I should say, they don't think he would be a great guy on scout team. I think is obviously something you have to worry about in general. So I'm curious about how, when I think he has a good shot to be signed potentially later, just because he has been on an NFL roster, but I'm curious to see what they think about him in this context. The third guy the Chiefs had for tryouts is offensive guard Mason Brooks. Now, he was a UDFA out of Ole Miss in 2023. And he's been kind of a travel man amongst practice squads, the Commanders, the Colts, the Dolphins, and just hasn't really found a home. Now, 6'6", 315, got the body stature for it. He also played for the DC Commanders in the United Football League. Now, looking at his bio, we go back to his days as an Ole Miss guy. Now, he's out of Cedar Park, Texas, and kind of an interesting, weird thing with Brooks. He was All-Conference USA first team with Western Kentucky. He was All-Conference USA honorable mention with Western Kentucky. And in 2021, he was a third-team Conference USA mention at the PFF website. So really, I don't know. He's got the body stature for him, but I don't know how much we got going for him besides that. We can sit here and look at pictures and look at all the breakdown of him. But at the same time, there's a reason he's been a journeyman and a guy who has, well, quite frankly, never stuck with anybody. Now, Cedar Park, actually kind of funny enough, is right next to my hometown. So I do find that interesting about Mr. Mason Brooks here. Obviously a cool thing when you go with that. But I do kind of look at this and say that of the offensive guards that I do have on this list for the Cowboys that have worked out, I think overall Mason Brooks is probably one that I would choose less of the others. And with that being said, let's go to a different offensive guard in Braden Daniels. Now, he was a former 4th round draft pick out of Utah in 2023. He's only 25 years old still. He also spent time with 6 different NFL clubs. Of course, a lot of these guys, I don't know why, they all spent time with the Miami Dolphins as of recently. Probably because they're in a spot where they just needed bodies. But either way, he spent time on the Dolphins, who poached him from the Dallas Cowboys practice squad last January. Now, he spent practically the entire 2025 NFL season on the Dolphins practice squad before being released in early December. Daniels, 6'4", 297 out of Carrollton, Texas. He had 49 career games played with 43 starts. The thing that I like about him, and a lot of something that maybe goes underrated with a lot of these guys who are trying out, he's versatile. In his career with the Utah Utes, 18 games at left guard, 14 games at left tackle, 11 games at right tackle, Pac-12 All-Conference first team in 2022, second team selection in 2021. He has a very good bio and graphic to him, a former 4th round pick, lots of good things for him. And the biggest thing to me, and when you're looking for these tryout guys, when you're looking for guys who may or may not make the roster, it's all about how can you fit with this team? How many ways can you fit with this team? And the fact of the matter is that he can do a lot with this team, playing left guard, playing left tackle, playing right tackle. And I'm not going to sit here and say that this is obviously the ultimate goal. But at the end of the day, when you are in off season and how hard you're working in the hot sun, you need bodies, especially on the offensive line. And some of these guys need a paycheck. And guess what? You can pay them for a couple of weeks, and maybe they don't make the roster, maybe they do, but that's what part of NFL is. And Braden Daniels, a former 4th round pick, I actually really like this guy. I think this would be a very good thing for the Chiefs to go out there and sign. I would like for him to be a part of this roster. I do think it would be a very good one to have, especially in the offseason. But I'm not the one who makes the decisions. Brett Veach is, and of course, he is the one who's going to decide whether or not any of these guys get signed, much less one of them being offensive tackle Braden Daniels. Let's continue on here and go with a wide receiver back in the wide receiver skill position group, Luke Grimm. Now, if you remember that name or it sounds familiar, Probably because it does. He actually is a Kansas Jayhawk. Played 5 seasons in Lawrence, recording 177 receptions for 2,472 yards, 23 touchdowns out of 53 games. Now, he was a UDFA in the 2025 draft, but he caught on with the Los Angeles Chargers. He had a lot of this season with them on LA's practice squad before he was released earlier this month. Grimm also had a 66-yard punt return touchdown against for the Los Angeles Rams, I should say, or against the Los Angeles Rams. These Los Angeles teams get so included in my head. He had a punt return against the Los Angeles Rams. He was on the Los Angeles Chargers. Good grief. Okay. Looking back at his stats here for the Kansas Jayhawks, his senior year, 51 catches, 690 yards, or 13.5 average. He was like spot on for his last 3 seasons. A little less catches in 2023, but otherwise around 600 yards, an average north of 12. It had 16.8 in 2023, obviously with the less catches, and 6 touchdowns in each of those seasons. Now, Grimm to me is I don't know. I like him just because he's a Kansas Jayhawk, and that's obviously cool. And you watch him being in the area and knowing him. It's obviously a cool thing, but I don't know if there's much to give or take with him. But again, to go back on what I said, when you are looking for practice squad members, when you are looking for off-season members, when you are looking for guys to help you out, and maybe not just on the field, but off the field ways, you want people who can do multiple things. And not only can Luke Grimm be a really productive wide receiver or pass catcher throughout this offseason, / maybe into the preseason next year, he also can, guess what? Be a guy who can return punts. He can be a guy who can help in special teams. And those are where a lot of injuries happen. You don't want to worry about that. And you got to practice it. And this is something that a lot of NFL teams predict. And they go out and they get a wide receiver or a special team specialist, I like to call him, a punt return specialist. And they say, hey, you're going to run out there against our guys, and we're going to see what you got. So I think that is something in his favor. However, we'll kind of have to see on him. I think if he does get signed, it'll probably be after the season is over. All right, defensive tackle Marcus Harris is our next guy here on the list. Number 7 out of 13 guys here. Let's continue on. A former 7th-round pick by the Houston Texans, so actually a draft pick for this one in 2024. Bounced around a couple of different clubs in 2 seasons in the NFL. A lot of his time, though, was spent on practice squads for the Texans and the Patriots. Now, in the 2025 offseason, he did join the Buffalo Bills. However, 53 on roster cutdowns took him out. 6'3", 286-pound defensive tackle, spent a few weeks on the practice squad with the Texans in December of this year. But he was cut just days before Christmas, which always sucks to kind of show with that. So let's go and kind of look at Marcus Harris, a defensive tackle, a guy who spent some time with both Kansas and Auburn. So might remember the name. However, he's a long way back. He's one of those 5-year guys, and obviously he graduated in 2023. So former 7th-round pick, though, actually drafted, played with Auburn and Kansas. His time with Auburn was the bigger one. He had 1 pass deflection in both 2023 and 2022. 7 sacks in 2023 is what got him a draft selection. 40 tackles, 21 of those solo, and 1 forced fumble. That is the back end of the work. Again, I think there's some stuff to be happy about with Marcus Harris. I think that you would like him to be a little bit bigger. 6'3", 286 is nice, but for your DTs, especially in the Chiefs organization, you kind of want them to be a little bit taller, a little bit more heavier on the set. But at the same time, it's really an interesting factor of off-season choices and all that. So Marcus Harris is, again, the 7th guy. We've got 6 more to go here on the Chiefs report, so stick around. We'll be right back here as we give you the latest on the Chiefs tryouts, part of 365 Sports.
Transform your workspace with Hanomi Ergonomics. From adjustable chairs to standing desks, we provide solutions for comfort and productivity, whether at home or in the office. Improve your posture, reduce strain, and work smarter. Visit us at hanomi.co today. That's HINOMI.co today. Unlock a world of convenience with MullyBox, your one-stop solution for personalized subscription boxes delivered right to your door. Each box is tailored to your tastes. Experience the joy of surprises. Subscribe today at mullybox.com. That's MULLYBOX.com. Unlock your full potential with On It, your go-to for premium supplements, fitness gear, and wellness essentials. Whether you're training hard, recovering faster, or just looking to feel your best, On It has the tools you need to perform at your peak. Visit Onnit, that's ONNIT.com, and elevate your mind, body, and spirit today. At Rolls Rolla, we don't just sell wallpaper, we create cohesive, cozy spaces. Our deep understanding of design means every pattern, color, and texture is carefully chosen to complement your home. Plus, we use advanced technology and water-based inks for vibrant, eco-friendly prints, ensuring a healthier environment. Visit rollsrolla.com to transform your space today. That's ROLLSROLLA.com today.
Relax with Hemp Delicious. Organically grown hemp, massively blended with delicious organic herbs, responsibly sourced for their holistic benefits. Each sip offers calming, antioxidant-rich wellness. Brewed just for you. Sip the calm with Hemp Delicious. Find your blend at hempdelicious.com.
At Tusane's, we understand that maintaining a healthy lifestyle can be challenging, especially in today's fast-paced world. That's why our mission is to make fitness accessible to everyone, anywhere. Committed to excellence, we adopt a user-centric approach guided by ergonomics and medical science. With a team of seasoned professionals in R&D, design, and manufacturing, we prioritize quality across our entire product line. Visit Tusanes.com today and start your journey to better health. That's TOUSAINS.com.
Ready to bring your vision to life? At Small Rig, every idea, design, and product is inspired by you, the creator. With our industry-first under co-design mode and the Dream Rig free customization project, we unite with global creators to turn big dreams into reality. Whether it's a cage rig or mount, Small Rig's versatile gear is built to elevate your craft. Small Rig, where your creativity meets our innovation. Go to smallrig.com.
Calling all Marvel fans, get Marvel Unlimited and unlock over 30,000 comics featuring your favorite heroes and iconic stories, all available to read anytime, anywhere. Whether you're into classic tales or the latest adventures, there's something for everyone. Don't miss out. Head to marvel.com/unlimited today and start your Marvel journey now. At Angel Bliss, we believe every parent's journey is a beautiful adventure. Our mission is to make it joyful and stress-free with thoughtful, safe, and innovative products. Born from a love for family, we promise peace of mind for parents and comfort for babies. From playtime to bedtime, every Angel Bliss product is designed with care, reliability, and a style to nurture the special bond between parent and child. Angel Bliss, creating happy memories, one baby at a time. Visit us at angelbliss.us. Angel Bliss.
Welcome back into the Chiefs Report. Jace Andrews here, part of 365 Sports. We're going through the 13 people who tried out for the Kansas City Chiefs today, and we're talking now about linebacker Clarence Hicks. Now, Hicks has an interesting story because his most recent team, the Calgary Stampeders, i.e. a Canadian team, he recorded 12 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and 28 total tackles with his club's winner for the CFL's Most Outstanding Defensive Player Award. Hicks is 27 years old, listed at 6'2", 230, played collegiately at the University of Texas, San Antonio, and spent the 2022 NFL offseason with the Cincinnati Bengals as an undrafted free agent, but he has not played in the NFL since. So an interesting one here for Clarence Hicks. Now, again, he has not played college ball since 2021. That was, of course, back with the University of Texas, San Antonio Roadrunners. 37 total tackles, had 2 passes defended, but 10 and a half sacks. Again, he's facing Conference USA opponents, but hey, this is still a very good number to mark, and he's doing some cool things up there in the Canadian Football League. Now, I actually like a lot of what Clarence Hicks brings, and the fact that he has gone, to play in an international, I call it international, it's across the border, but an international league is pretty cool in itself, and he's doing well. 12 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 28 tackles over there for the CFL. I actually kind of like a lot. Now, he has a little bit of a problem being undersized as a pass rusher, but in some aspects that can be a benefit to you if you use your size properly to avoid blocks, avoid tackles, and kind of work your way around it. But ultimately, I I'm curious to see if they like him. 6'2", 230 is a very small thing to have for a for a linebacking pass rusher, but you bust that weight up a little bit. There's a lot you could do with that. So I think overall, if they want a working project, I don't think it's a bad idea. But we'll see what the Chiefs kind of want to do with this. Let's go to a wide receiver, Kobe Hudson, 6'1", 193. Hudson enjoyed a productive collegiate career. Playing for both Auburn and UCF. Now, he had 60 games over 5 seasons there. After going undrafted in 2025, he caught on with the Carolina Panthers, playing on them during the offseason. However, he was waived before the 53-man roster cuts and didn't catch to any other NFL team this season. Now, Kobe Hudson is I don't know about him. Funny enough, I should have just not mentioned this, but I saw this when I was doing my research for today. He was born on 9/11/2001, so that's, I don't know. Part of me thinks it's crazy that these people are being talked about in the NFL, but at the same time, I was born just a couple months after that, so whatever. Either way, 47 catches with UCF in his senior season for 770 yards. Across his collegiate career with Auburn and UCF, he had 181 receptions for nearly 3,000 yards, 16.4 on the average, and 23 touchdowns, the most of them coming with UCF in 2023, having 8 that season. Kobe Hudson has some things he like. He has some things that I don't know if it would work in the NFL, and it kind of hasn't worked in the NFL. But I don't think this is a bad tryout, and I really do think he will land on somebody's 90-man roster. If it's the Chiefs, great. If it's not, so be it. All right, we've got a little bit left here, and the next guy is an interesting one. A very, very big tight end, Zack Kuntz, a towering tight end. Like, legit, this guy is humongous. 6'8", 255, a 7th-round pick by the New York Jets in 2023 out of Old Dominion. Now, he had just 13 NFL snaps after being promoted to the 53-man roster from the practice squad of New York Jets with the 2023 and 2024 seasons. However, this past year, he was waived during the 53-man roster cutdowns in 2025 and has not signed back in any capacity this season. Zack Kuntz, again, interesting guy, 6'8", but yet none of that was used in college. 12 catches for the Old Dominion squad in 144 yards. He did have 73 receptions, though, in 2021 for 692 yards and 5 touchdowns. Originally was spending time with the Penn State Nittany Lions, but went for playing time. Hey, there it is. But 6'8". Man, what Patrick Mahomes could do with a 6'8" tight end. Now, he's got to catch the ball. I'm not going to sit here and say that the height is what's going to, get him into a good place with the Chiefs. But if he's got hands, you got a quarterback that can get the ball to your hands, I like that. Now, again, they're trying him out, so we'll kind of have to see what goes on with that. Another guy here, an interesting one, QB Jordan McCloud. Now, he was a Texas State dual threat quarterback, 6'5", 205 pounds. Played at a lot of different colleges: South Florida, Arizona, James Madison, and Texas State is where he finished off his career and had, the quote unquote collegiate career that ended him up in the NFL. He's 26 years old and had over 10,000 yards in his collegiate career. He has also rushed for nearly 1,000 yards and 20 touchdowns. However, he was undrafted in 2025. He did have one rookie minicamp tryout with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. However, they did not sign him. So the 1 year with the Texas State Bobcats, that was the year that got him drafted. But JMU, also a very good one. 281 completions on 412 attempts with JMU for 3,657 yards, 35 touchdowns, 10 interceptions that season. With Texas State, 273 on the completions, 390 on the attempts, and that is 3,227 yards with 30 touchdowns and 13 interceptions. He's got an arm. Nearly over 10,000 yards through his career. A lot of those coming in the final 2 seasons. In fact, over 7,000 nearly of them, or just under 7,000 yards coming in his last 2 seasons. So when you have a couple 3,000 passing yard seasons, it doesn't exactly go that far for you to get to the 10,000 mark, but an interesting one. Now, here's a guy that you might be familiar with, ShunDerrick Powell. Now, Chiefs fans could be familiar with him because he had a top 30 visit with the Chiefs after the 2025 NFL draft. He is 5'9", 180 pounds. He had 3 consecutive 1,000-yard rushing seasons to end his collegiate career at Central Arkansas. but he's undersized. He's 5'9", 180. It's just not going to get you into the NFL, and especially playing at Central Arkansas. It's an intriguing one. He spent time with the Philadelphia Eagles. I think there's something with that, but 163 carries, over 1,000 yards, 1,300 yards in 2024, 8.2 on the average, 14 touchdowns. I don't know. I want to sit here and say that ShunDerrick Powell is cool, but at the same time, he's just way undersized for the NFL. Way undersized. 5'9", 180. I mean, there's high school backs that don't get into college because of that size. It's just not something you can overcome, I think, in my opinion. So tough, but it does, unfortunately, go that way with the NFL. A QB on our final two of the list here, Austin Reed, who's a UDFA out of Western Kentucky. If you know anything about Western Kentucky, Bailey Zappi, a lot of passing yards go through Western Kentucky. He had the Chicago Bears with them this season. He completed 12 of 16 passes for 1 touchdown and 123 yards in the preseason. However, he was released during the 53-man roster cutdowns and never signed with any other club thus far this season. Austin Reed, again, Western Kentucky guy, did actually have 2 seasons with Western Florida, I believe is what that is, but no stats on here. So either he played there and they don't have the stats because it's that little college, or he just didn't play there. I don't know. Can't tell you. But 8,000 yards in his collegiate career across 2 seasons with Western Kentucky, 71 touchdowns to 22 interceptions. Got a lot of things you like, but at the same time, a lot of things like, I don't know about that. So I'm very curious about that light for sure. So kind of intriguing with that. But yeah, Austin Reed, interesting thing. Now we go with the final guy here, and this is going to be tackle Corey Stewart. Corey Stewart, offensive lineman, 318 pounds, a 6'6" guy, did play at Ball State before playing at Purdue. And in 2025, he did have a Los Angeles Chargers stint as a free agent. However, he was waived during the 53-man roster cutdowns and did not play with any other team during the course of the season. He had, 11 games at left tackle, allowing just 1 sack, over 300 pass blocking attempts. Offensive line is such a position of need in the offseason that maybe they go out and sign him, maybe they use him. But at the same time, I don't really know what the overarching theme of that is. But we'll kind of have to wait and see and kind of go from there. But overall, interesting tryouts. I think my top guys that I really do think have a good shot of making the potential roster, just because of his size and stature, Zack Kuntz, if he can get, a couple of balls in his hands, I think there's a lot of things that you could like from him. I know he's undersized, but I do like the ability of linebacker Clarence Hicks. He hasn't played college in a while, but I think he's a very good guy that could catch fire of that. And then Luke Grimm is something I could like, but I think the best guy that has the biggest chance is going to be offensive guard. There he is, offensive guard Braden Daniels. He's the guy that I think has the best chance, being a former 4th-round pick and spending a lot of time with different clubs. I think he has the best chance to probably make the roster. That's what we got for you here today on the Chiefs Report. Let me know your thoughts on all these free agents and potential signings. If you think that the Chiefs will sign anyone, let me know in the comment section. But for now, we appreciate you. We'll see you next time. Peace out, everybody.
365 Sports.